Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. First things first, let's address the fact that I have not been active on here for like 4 or 5 weeks now. Not good by me, but I have been insanely busy in the best way possible. But I thought I'd do a video today just to sit down and chat. I want to talk about building muscle and my experience during this current build phase that I'm in. I'm at about week 16, week 17 now, deep into a build. And this time around, I've just learnt so much more and it's just been so different and so much better than the one that I did previously. And I just don't think building muscle and building phases is just spoken about online enough. It's always like calorie deficit this and calorie deficit that and 10 ways to lose fat and all the things there. I think that it's great that we have all this education online now, but I just don't think people realize how important a build phase can be for them as well. And I just obviously wanted to share my experience just because, as always, being an online fitness coach, my intention is always to educate you guys and also challenge your mindset, of course. In speaking about my online fitness coaching as well, that's another thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks. I've officially moved from face-to-face coaching to now fully online, which was a big leap in the right direction for me. It's what I wanted when I started. I think face-to-face was great, and there's no saying that I will never go back to face-to-face because it is great. It's so much fun. So exciting step, big step, but that's also why I've been super busy as well. Getting into my current build phase and what it's been like. So I wanted to keep this short and sweet and educational. So we have our notes. So as I said before, I've been in this current build phase for about 16 to 17 weeks now. I will say the last 2 weeks have been a little bit hit and miss though, just because I've been super unwell, which is not ideal because I have about 4 weeks left of this current build phase and the goal is to obviously gain a little bit more muscle, and I haven't been able to, push in the gym, and my appetite has not been there, so I haven't been able to get in the amount of calories that are needed every single day. I have tried my absolute best with that though in terms of nutrition, but in terms of the gym I just have not been pushing, so that has been a little bit disappointing in the last couple of weeks. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to build a lot of muscle in this build phase, because when it comes to a building phase, it's not about just eating like heaps of calories. Like, you want to take advantage of the fact that yes, you are in a surplus, so you are eating more than your body needs, so you want to be taking advantage of that time and going to the gym and hitting those PBs and lifting heavy weights and taking advantage of how good that feels. My initial feelings about going into a build phase at the start, I was a little bit nervous, I won't lie, because the first build phase that I ever went on, I didn't do it properly. I didn't push heavy in the gym. I ate a lot of junk food. Basically, if you've heard of the term dirty bulk, like that was basically the mindset that I had. I feel like I just gained a lot of weight. I felt so fluffy, didn't feel myself. I just felt yuck all the time and I felt like I was force feeding myself, and I just didn't have the education around it. Also, my gut health wasn't great at the time either. So from that experience, I was a little bit nervous going into this one, but now with so much more education, trusting everything my coach says, and also leaning, I think the biggest shift for me this time has been leaning more into whole foods. I found at the start I really did dive into the whole foods, but then I was finding it was super hard for me to get in the calories. A lot of the time whole foods don't have as many calories as processed foods. As I've gone on, I've educated myself into where processed foods can actually be beneficial, so like your pre-workout meal, your juices, that sort of thing has been really beneficial. But my main meals, so like my breakfast, lunch and dinner, have been mainly whole foods, and that has made the biggest difference I've found. Also, obviously I have a goal in mind when it comes to this build. Those of you who don't know, I am going to be competing in a bodybuilding competition. No dates have been set yet. I'm basically just going through the stages of a build and then a mini cut and then another build phase, and then depending on where we're at, we then may do a prep phase. But yeah, no dates have been set yet, but there is that goal as well. So every time I do go to the gym, I have an intention, I have a goal that I'm working towards. I want to push hard in the gym so I can build muscle, and I have built about 2.7 kilos of lean muscle mass so far, so that's really good and I'm super proud of myself. And I've also stayed somewhat lean throughout the whole phase, and I think that really just comes down to how much better my digestion has been. So I'm getting in a lot of fiber and I'm eating more whole foods, as I said before, because I seriously do not believe that you can't go through a build phase and not still feel lean. I think that's such a misconception, especially in social media, that like once you're in a build phase, you're gonna, gain weight, you're gonna feel fluffy, get used to it, people say. And I'm just like, no, you don't. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, if you actually still eat good foods and you still look after your gut and your stress and all the things there, and you're training hard, you shouldn't put on that much fat. Like, you shouldn't be putting on that much fat. And I think that's such a misconception, especially in social media. In saying that, in the same breath, I will say you will have to be a little bit more comfortable with the scales going up. I think that's a mental shift that I have had this time. I'm the heaviest that I've ever been in my life right now. I think what's helped me seeing the numbers go up is more the fact that I have an end goal, what I want to do and what this is for, and I know that the weight will then equally come down. It's just a number at the end of the day. So I think you do have to have a really good positive mindset when it comes to these things as well. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still have my days, and that's what a coach is for. Like, I reach out to my coach every single week with everything, and he basically tells me like, it's fine, you're doing fine. And like, just having that person there to acknowledge how you're feeling, but also in the same breath be like, you're fine, like, is just so helpful. The next thing that I want to talk about is obviously building your dream body, and the reality of building muscle. You just won't build that muscle in a deficit phase. Your body literally needs fuel to build muscle. You can't build muscle out of absolutely nothing, and when you're in a deficit, you're literally getting less than what your body needs, and the goal is fat loss. If your goal is muscle gain and to build your dream body and to change the shape of your body, you will need to go through a maintenance / build to gain that. And that's just the reality, and I don't think that it's spoken about enough, because I do have a lot of girls that come to me that are like, oh, like, I want to like lose weight and, you know, gain muscle. I'm like, cool, that's totally fine. Let's put you in a maintenance phase, which is always almost always more calories than what they think, which is another topic for another day. But I will always put someone in a maintenance phase just to see where they're at, how they're going, what their gut health is like, all the things there, and their mindset as well, before then putting them in a deficit or a build phase. I think education is the most important thing when it comes to these phases, and hence why I'm making this video and why I want to speak about it more on my YouTube, because I just think everyone speaks about deficits, as I said before, and not many people speak about the reality of building muscle and what is required and what is needed, and it's not as scary as what people think. And then in talking about social media as well, it's actually funny, I had this conversation with my business coach the other day. I said something along the lines of, I found it so easy to use the narrative of I was getting more coaching like leads come in when I was more lean, and I think it comes from a pressure of, as a coach, obviously you want to be in your best physique. This is my personal opinion. I would not go to a PT who isn't physically fit, and I think that's a pressure that a lot of PTs put on themselves. So when we do go through phases of like build phases, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of not posting on social media because you are maybe a little bit bigger. Well, obviously you are a little bit bigger than what you would be in a deficit. Obviously social media is a big part of my job, and obviously connecting with more and more people, which is obviously the ultimate goal. And when you are in a build phase, you're not the leanest you've ever been. And I think that's definitely evident, me showing up onto YouTube and then me showing up on Instagram as well. I just haven't been there for the last couple of weeks. Yes, there's all these other things that have happened. I've been away, I've been sick, all the things. But when you are at your leanest, which I'm not at the moment because that's not my goal, which actually gets to be okay, you can very easily get in your head about it. And that's why I think a lot of coaches don't post much when it comes to their build phase. And I think that's why a lot of coaches don't talk about build phases online much, just because it is an uncomfortable feeling for everyone, no matter who you are, whether you're a client or you're a PT or you're the most educated person in the world. We all have our days, we are all human. And I mean, like, obviously who doesn't want like a six-pack and to look shredded? Like, yes, it's great, but to build your dream body and to build shape and all the things there, you will need to go through a build phase. And it just doesn't have to be, as I said before, you don't have to gain a little fat, you don't have to feel yuck all the time, you don't have to force feed yourself. It doesn't have to be that way, and I proved that to myself this time. And I just want to obviously share that with you guys, because I think it's so important to know and to obviously not base your goals on what you see online. I know it's so easy to fall into the deficit. You probably don't even need a deficit. You probably actually need to be in maintenance. Your body actually needs the fuel. I wanted to also talk about some benefits of being in a build phase, because honestly, you will feel the best you've ever felt in terms of like sleep, recovery, and training in a build phase. When your body has more than enough energy, your sleep is literally elite, your recovery is so good. The gains that you get in the gym, like lifting heavy, feels so elite. Your digestion is great if you are eating the whole foods and the fiber and things like that. And look, I understand the fear of gaining too much fat. The best way to go about a build phase or a surplus is start at a maintenance level and then slowly increase your calories. So the only time I'd ever change anyone's calories, by the way, is if they were actually tracking and actually sticking to them, because if they're not, me changing a bunch of numbers around for my clients is really just going to do absolutely nothing and going to tell me absolutely nothing if they're not actually adhering to it. So that's number 1 point. Number 2 point. So if you are wanting to go into a build, the best way to do it is to start the maintenance and increase your calories every maybe once or every second week maybe, and just see how you go and be in it for the long term as well. So I'm like in week 16 or 17 now and I'm doing a build for 20 weeks. So you have to be in it for the long term. It's not a quick in, quick out, shove as much food in your mouth as you possibly can. It's not like that. It's not eat a bunch of shit food. I still eat pretty clean. Like I would say most of my meals, as I said before, my breakfast, lunch and dinner are mainly all whole food. Yes, you have more flexibility in this time. So maybe like, you know, one night a week when my partner like, you know, wants to go out for dinner or like just like something when I'm out, like you don't have to be so like strict about it. You could be like, oh, you know what, like that's perfectly fine. I say that within reason though, obviously, because at the end of the day, your nutrition has a big impact on every area of your life, whether you like it or not. And if you eat shit food all the time, that will have an impact. So yeah, and then in terms of like body image and confidence, like don't get me wrong, there's times that I've put on my gym shorts and you know, like my legs are just like, you know, not fitting into the extra small anymore, and like little things like that happen. But I find the biggest thing that helps with this, which is literally anything in life, if you think about the positive of that situation, you're so much better off than thinking about the negative situation. Because like for example, in that instance where I'm putting on my shorts and they're not fitting me, when I am in a build phase, I could be like, you know what, how cool is this? Like what I'm doing is working, the nutrition that I'm eating is working, how hard I'm pushing in the gym is working, like my glutes and legs are growing, like slay, like that's what I want. It makes the biggest difference to switch into a more positive mindset than a negative mindset, and just fully trust the process and trust your coach knows what they're doing, unless they tell you to be on a 1200 calorie deficit, because if they do, or if you've lost your period, please seek help and get rid of that coach ASAP. Anyway, but in terms of like build phase, anyways, trust the process, trust the coach. Most of us know what we're doing. Most of us are educated and have been there before. I think that's the biggest thing. We've experienced it. So what you're experiencing or what you're scared to experience in terms of a build phase, we've been there. So just be open and honest about it, and just know that you're not forever committed to this phase. Like you're not married to it. Like you don't have to be with it forever. If you find that you do start going into a build phase and it gets too much for you, drop it back down to maintenance. Like it's not the end of the world. You're fine. Like try again in a couple of, you know, weeks or a month or whatever it is. Seek help if you need. You're not stuck in it forever. Building muscle actually just gets to be fun. It gets to be so cool that we can change our bodies as much as we possibly can. I'll pop a image up here of like the difference between the start of my build to now, which I posted on my Instagram. It gets to be so cool that we can change our bodies this way, and you learn so much about yourself in the process. I think also I just wanted to end this by saying you don't have to shrink to be worthy, and this is for anyone, PTs or clients or whoever's watching this. I think we're going down a very slippery slope online at the moment again, where it's like you have to be skinny, you have to be in a deficit, like that's the trend at the moment. And God love internet and education on the internet and things like that, because obviously when I was growing up, all we had was, you know, workouts on YouTube, and like that was not very educational, I will say that. So it's so great that we have all these platforms now, but I think we are going back down into a slippery slope of, you know, deficits and, you know, being toned all the time and things like that. And I just want to put that out there to obviously clients, like you don't have to be skinny to be worthy. Like your worthiness is not related to your weight at all. Yes, you can better yourself. Yes, you can push to change your body. That gets to all be okay, but your worthiness isn't tied to your body. And I think that's something that I've only recently learned. And as a PT, if any PTs are watching this, just know that your clients don't love you any less if, you know, you are in a build phase and you are putting on a little bit more fat than usual. Obviously we want to lead by example, and we do want to, you know, be the fittest we possibly can. But for me right now, my goal is to build as much muscle as possible, and I think that's important to talk about with clients and talk about online, because it is a part of of changing your body composition. It's not all about being in a deficit all the time. So I encourage you to be more comfortable online in a build phase. I encourage you to talk about it more, because me as a consumer as well, I would love to see it more. If anyone watching this has any questions about a build phase, wants to jump into a build phase, wants to jump into coaching, DM me. My DMs are always open. I'm so happy to help as many women as I possibly can. I appreciate you all for watching.